Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. We're live streaming across the web, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We're here to talk Leeds United versus West Ham. The Hammers beat Leeds United 3-1. And we're going to get into it all. We're going to review it all. I'm Stephen Brown. With me, as ever, is Jason Booker. We had a chance. We had an opportunity. Everton dropped points against Wolves. If we'd have got a win today, it's in our hands. And, of course, we've failed miserably, like we have done all season. Just to get your initial thoughts and reaction and how you're feeling at the moment, Jason, with it all.
Just pure miserable dejection, if I'm honest. I mean, you know, we've all gone back and forward with his emotions on it and how we felt. We're out of it. We've got a chance. We're out of it again. We've got a chance. And, you know, yesterday it were a bit gutting to see Everton get a late equaliser, but the drop in points put it back in our hands. And West Ham, you know, not been great this season themselves. We saw the performance at Ellen Road. You know, there's been discontent around Moyes and, you know, not really getting as much out of them as they should. They only confirmed themselves staying up yesterday with Everton's result, you know, mathematically. You know, they then play on Thursday, come back Friday into the UK, bit of training Saturday from what I've heard, and then playing Sunday, and they put out a pretty strong side, pretty much the same side that played on Thursday, or a lot of the same players that played on Thursday. And you literally wouldn't know. You would not know the difference. You would have said that we would have played on Thursday, and we were struggling. Going into the game, we've got an opportunity to keep it in our hands. All that we need to do is beat this West Ham team that really should be on the beach and knackered, and then beat Spurs at home, who were in absolute horrific form. And we turn out that today. I mean, as we've said on so many occasions this season, we started well. I'm sick of saying it. It's boring. It's really boring. And I mean, there's so much to kind of pick the bones through. And I don't know if you've seen Luke Ayling's post-match interview.
To me, that just says absolutely everything. And it strikes to a point that, hang on, we've had 8 days since we played. We played last Saturday. We've had over a week. Why are we getting outrun and outfought by a team that played on Thursday? Yeah, I get the fact that they can be more relaxed. You know, they're doing little tricks and flicks and back heels. And, you know, there's no pressure. They're playing without pressure, which no doubt helps. But we couldn't run. We couldn't match fitness levels. How is that even a thing? How is that a thing when we haven't played for a week? And what Ayling's come out and said is that's what it is.
It's basically said they're unfit. That's how I take it. The levels of fitness that we used to have and that we were known for are no longer there. And, you know, I sent a message to you about, I think it might have been to you or somebody else on Twitter. I've been conversing all over the place about this for the past few hours. The facts are is that these players never had the mentality. Bielsa injected the mentality that we saw for the previous 2.5, 3 years. The 2 championship seasons and then the first Premiership season. He injected the mentality that these players never had. And that's why when Bielsa picked them up, they were mid-table, lower championship players, and he turned them into something else. And when he was no longer there, these players were unable to provide that mentality for themselves. They're weak mentally. They
were drilled under Bielsa. They were drilled to within an inch of their life. They knew at every second of every minute of every hour in the game what they had to do, what their job was. You know, it was autopilot. You know, because it was just automated. Everything was automated. What they did, and then
I've said it time and time and time again, Brownie, that the only way that this team that Bielsa had been able to bring to the Premier League could be successful with the way that he set them up to play. Because without that tactic and the desire and the passion and the running, the quality that was left underneath wasn't there. And it wasn't there when we had Berardi and Janssen and some of these other players, Pablo Hernandez. You know, people still like, oh, I wish we had Hernandez. I saw one earlier about Hernandez and Berardi. It's been 2 years since they've left. And I love them too, especially Pablo. But they needed to move on. They absolutely needed to move on. You know, more of them needed to move on. The facts are is that they were part of a championship team too. You know, nobody would have had Berardi in a Premier League team. Nobody. No, not one Premier League side. But we harp on about them because they were part of the promotion team and they got us emotionally, and I get it all. And it's, you know, I love them, but you know, the fact that we're still rocking up with this team, and I said to myself when I saw the team, thank God Forshaw's playing. And I'm thinking to myself,
yeah.
Why am I saying that? Like,
I watched it with my dad, and I said to my dad, I was like, he's our best midfielder. He's one of the players I trust when he gets the ball. And I'm just like, how is that a thing? The guy didn't play for 2 years or something.
It's wild. And you know, today, like, there's so much wrong. You know, we can talk about quality, and I've defended the players because it's almost not their fault that they've not had the players brought in to help them enough. And I still stand by that. That's the truth. But today, lack of passion and enthusiasm, and the mentality, you know, so fickle and weak. Like, honestly, it drives me mad. But what do we say? We've been put into this position by pure mismanagement.
Total mismanagement. Guys, thank you very much for your comments. We will get to them. Please like the video as well. Subscribe to the channel, all the usual stuff. Michael Brown, the stats do lie regarding Leeds this season. Second worst away record in the league, only 2 wins away from home, 74 goals conceded in the Premier League, the worst in the league, also the worst in the Premier League last season. But can I just say, by the way, we have to be, over the course of 2 years, we have to be one of the worst Premier League teams in the history of the Premier League. Embarrassing defeats, record-breaking amount of goals conceded.
I saw Connor say earlier that we are the worst defense in Premier League history, and it's hard to argue 100%. With it. Like, the way that we set up, and I mean, it's hard to take this sometimes. It's hard to say because some of them I love as well, but players like Luke Ayling, if Bielsa had not come through the doors, he would be playing League One football, guys. He would. Liam Cooper would be playing bottom end Championship football. Junior Firpo deserves no. I know he didn't play today, but he won. And Pascal Struijk, I mean, my word, the drop off has just been phenomenal with that guy. He looks a shell of the player that he was under Bielsa. He's not got it. I'm telling you, I would not be confident starting the season in the Championship with him at centre back next season. I wouldn't.
No, I agree. It's just so many of them look so. I'm glad actually that we've got a few of the young guys out on loan and away from this car crash of the season.
Yeah, me too.
And hopefully they won't get damaged from it, because someone like Struijk, I mean, you know, he's got a mountain to turn around at Leeds now because his reputation is so damaged. And this team would struggle in the Championship. We'll probably find out, actually, won't we?
I'm sorry that we're just going to go like all over the place.
It's going to be. It's going to be very scattershot. It is. Yeah.
I've just got to say, right? Like, and I'm sure you guys all saw it. I'm sure you saw it, Brownie. Rodrigo, right? And he wears his heart on his sleeve. I think he's probably he's our player of the season for me, because Tyler, when he got injured, he's not been able to contribute to this. Rodrigo's still been sticking it in. The lad was injured for 35 minutes today. He was struggling like crazy. You'll have all seen it. He was, and apparently I forget the name of what it was, but he's been dealing with something all week. And Sam Allardyce comes out and says, what am I meant to do? I can't take him off because I've got nobody else that can play there. How is that? And Rodrigo's playing at 9 when really he shouldn't be playing there either. It's wild, guys. Honestly,
shouldn't Sam at that point be taking a risk on Rutter and saying, "Look, okay, I clearly don't fancy him. I don't trust him, but surely a fit player is better than playing a crocked player at the end for the last half an hour." Or is it that bad with Rutter? Is it? I
think he's so not a striker. I think that's the only conclusion I can come to. That Robbie Keane, you know, has come in with Sam, and between them gone, this lad ain't a 9. This lad can't do the number 9 job. What was it like? What's going on? He can't. even come on in the 90th minute when we're 2-1 down. He brings on Rocker and Sam Greenwood, mate. Like, and I don't blame Sam for that because he's not an idiot. If he was a number 9, if he was a striker, if he could play that role, he would play in there. I truly believe that. Yeah. And I know we've seen bits, but you know what? In moments we can, sometimes see what we want to see, and we take an odd moment against Accrington or Chelsea away and think, maybe he can do a job there. We have to trust a coach with the experience of Sam Allardyce. If he's seeing him in training and saying, nah, he can't do it, he ain't got it. We have to. And again, it only comes back to the recruitment, all down to the mismanagement of this club. They couldn't have got it any worse.
No, they couldn't.
They really couldn't. And I mean, Tyler Adams, we're losing for 3 months. And I didn't realize just how much we were going to miss him, because I think we would have probably taken another 3, 4, 5 points out of the games that we've played without him if he was there. But again, the fact that we can't survive with one injury, we've not had bad injuries this season. We've not. All teams have injuries this season. We lost Rodrigo for a couple of months, but we should be able to survive through that. We're not we've not spent.
Yeah.
We've spent money. It's just wild, man. I'm so mad tonight.
Yeah, it's just devastating. It really is. I've seen this stat going around. Michael Cheers, Sky noted that Leeds have dropped 25 points from winning positions when leading. We knew it because, I mean, let's get into it. It was a decent start. Leeds looked lively. They're creating bits of this, bits of that. We get the lead. Fantastic goal by Rodrigo. And then it just crumbles. It just completely crumbles.
It's because there's so many reasons for this. Aileen kind of touched on it in the fitness levels and how they can't just go again and all the rest of it. It's like they've got the energy levels of under Bielsa for 30 minutes and then it disappears. And because there's no tactical kind of structure around what they then need to do, and they have a lack of quality and a lack of confidence, it all then mixes together into what we see. I mean, the amount of times that we have seen that second half that we saw today this season it's just insane, especially away from home. We've seen it time and time again. Excuse me. It reminded me of the Fulham game today.
Yeah.
Fulham just came. They didn't really have anything to play for. They strode around the game. We huffed and puffed and flirted with getting into the game a little bit, and they beat us quite comfortably. That's how West Ham did not even have to really try second half today. They just coasted through the game and took the 3 points. I mean,
it's astonishing, actually. I mean, it really is astonishing how many times we've done this. Ishtar, thanks for your comment, mate. Didn't press after scoring. Let West Ham pass the ball around at will unchallenged until West Ham made a move. Scared and no team synchronicity at all. Would you agree with that, Jason? After
a lot of it's spot on, mate. Yeah, a lot of it's spot on. I do think there's a lot of fear in that team. You saw them walking into the ground today. They didn't look up for it. They looked scared. They looked petrified about what was about to happen. They do look disjointed. I even thought to myself, and I could be just maybe reading too much into this, but when Rodrigo scored, I thought that even when Weston McKennie went over and celebrated, he didn't look that happy. He looked like he was forcing an emotion on. Maybe it's just me. Just maybe go watch it back and see what you guys think. I don't know. But to me, it felt like he was forcing himself to look happy.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff. There's a massive split. And I hope to God one day we get, I don't know, a long read from Phil A on The Athletic or something about what has gone behind the scenes this season. Do you see the bit in the second half where Ayling's absolutely going crackers at Somerville for the misplaced pass? And I'm like, that is OTT. I'm sorry. Some of the words that he was saying to Somerville, I was like, all right, he's given the ball away, but how many other players have done it? I just thought it was so over the top. I was like, it looked like, do you know what it looked like to me? It looked like hate. It looked like complete division.
It seems like a division between the young and the old, and we've heard that a couple of times. And I mean, even that moment in itself just kind of typified everything that we're about. Somerville were letting it run across to go into Ayling's path. Ayling were leaving it for Somerville, and it went out of play. And it's like, come on, this is not Sunday League football. Yeah, basics. It's just so demoralizing, and I can't like. I've had all after because it encapsulates everything for me. Like it means too much. I know it does, but it just does. Like I tell myself to not let it, and then come the weekend and after the game, it just does the same. And my missus is like, come on, you've known this will come, and I'm like, yeah, but it don't change how angry I am and how upset I am by the situation. And I've got fans that are like, yeah, we need to go down. No, we don't need to go down. This is an absolute catastrophe for us. It is. The championship is horrendous. It's horrific, and the quality is low. But the mess that we're gonna have to try and pick out now, it's worse than when Bielsa came in. This is worse than that summer when Heckingbottom had us finish 16th. This will be worse than that. I'm telling you. So. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. I think if you look at other clubs when they've gone down, when Norwich were yo-yoing, but there was kind of like a core to their team. It was felt quite stable. I know they've not got up this season, but other teams that do that kind of thing, it feels kind of quite stable in the team, the club. With Leeds, it's split ownership, no manager, no director of football. The players hate each other, or there's something going on.
Yeah. The mess, mate.
The squad is unbalanced.
Yeah. We've
got now Cody. I mean, can you imagine Cody Drama goes up to the Premier League and signs for Luton whilst Leeds go the other way? We're the dumbest club in the world, one of the most coveted right backs, Dortmund, Newcastle. This is just one little example, Cody Drama, and we couldn't find a place for him in our SS short of a team.
You drop us into that playoff situation. You drop us into that playoff situation right now, we would get smacked by every one of them. And on paper, the teams that are finishing the championship playoffs this season are not that great. They're really not. The championship nowadays is not what it was 5-10 years ago when teams were making big moves to try and get promoted. They're being built from the ground up with team spirits and dynamics that are then built to help teams get promoted, with probably the exception of Burnley this season.
Yeah.
Like, we are so far away from it. And the rebuild job that needs doing this summer, oh, man. Like, it is just
it gives me a headache. Big. It gives me a headache because it's only 12 weeks or something before, or probably less because if we're starting in the championship. I mean, to sort out all that mess. I mean, for me, we need it announcing 2 hours after the game next week that the 49ers are 100% in. But then there's reports of this, that, and the other with that. There's so many clauses and if, maybe, it's just so murky.
What Michael's just said there about Burnley. Like, Burnley, that makes sense, but we're not Burnley. We're nothing like that. We've not got the fan base have got different expectations. The players that they kept and the ones that they were able to bring in, like, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. A great example of it would be Nathan Teller. Nathan Teller's gone on loan to Burnley from Southampton this summer and ripped it up. Yeah. He wouldn't come to Leeds under the same expectations. It's just different for a club like Burnley. We've seen it with Andros Townsend, Ross Barkley. It's just different at Leeds United, and I just don't see that we would have this great reset that people think that we're gonna have by going down. It's just not the same. No. So go on.
I absolutely agree. I mean Ferglass here, take it that we're down. Who would you hope to get as manager? I've no idea. But for me, Leeds United is one of those clubs where you need a absolute figurehead as a manager. You need someone with so much personality, drive, charisma, whatever you want to say. They have to have something special about them to manage Leeds, because Leeds is just a basket case. It's a club that comes with so much pressure and the weight of history on its shoulders, and it eats people up. I mean, look at this season. If the managers that we're going through at the minute, Jesse Marsh, Gracia, Allardyce coming in, it chews people up and spits them out for fun. Does this club? You need some. I mean, look at Bielsa. Bielsa's a genius, a maverick, one of a kind. He was the only one who could drag this club up.
Yeah.
So,
and you know,
God knows
Brownie,
what
that
he'll do next season.
well, he ran it all from top to bottom as well, didn't he? And club gave him the you know, I was a staunch Bielsa defender, and even I feel embarrassed by the fact that I wasn't. I was kidded on by Rads and Orta towards the end. You know, there's nobody better for Bielsa, and you know, poor Bielsa, poor Marcelo allowed all that in the media. He allowed himself to be the punch bag for their bollocks. That's the truth. He did. He allowed it because he just saw the bigger picture. He was there for the people. He was there for the fans, and you know, we chewed him up and spat him out at the end. We did.
We did.
And we only as fans can go off the information that has been given to us. But you know, now when you look at, and I'm going to throw them all out there, Mark Rocker, Weston McKennie, you know, all the names that we then, you know, have subsequently gone and signed under or without Bielsa. No wonder he said no. Jorginho Rutter. And I don't want to dig Jorginho out. We've had that conversation before. It's not his fault. But Victor Orta were bringing these players to Bielsa, and he was saying, no, I'll make do with Tyler Roberts. I'll make do with Adam Forshaw when he comes back fit. Fuck me. Sorry, but like that's how I feel about it. Like the poor guy was having to make a team with that at its disposal, finish 9th in the Premier League. Like it just Dan James up front. Like how. Oh man, I can just go on and on and on about the inaccuracies and the stupidity of the owners. And what scares me and worries me the most is that we've now got to go in with all this over us, with nobody to look after it, and then hope to bounce straight back. I think we're so far away from that. I really do. And as the conversation of a manager, you know, my brain kind of goes instantly towards Mark Robbins or Michael Carrick. But you instantly look at them too and you think, they've not got the experience to be able to deal with this.
No.
Like with the fallout, with the players' egos that we've got, the players that are going to want to leave, that are going to have to stay, the players that do leave, the incoming players, the pressures of Ellen Road and the club. And then you think, well, all right, we won't go with that. We'll take Big Sam. But what kind of plan is that for the future? We don't even know if Big Sam's still got enough left in locker to be able to do another promotion campaign. Honestly, it blows my brains out. The whole thing.
Staggering. It's absolutely staggering. Absolutely staggering.
You talk for a bit, Brownie.
Recharge your batteries, mate. A couple of comments to get through, Ishtar. The club is Premiership and the team and staff are Sunday League. Yeah, it certainly feels like that, doesn't it? Absolutely. Can't disagree with that. David, thanks for your comment, mate. Players contacting agents, get me out of here after they got us in this position. It'll be fascinating to see who stays and who goes. Although I don't know who's going to want to buy half these players.
Let me just say on that point, right? So in the build-up to this game today, we had Weston McKennie's agent banging on again about him going back to Juventus. Yesterday, this came out that he's definitely not going to be signing for Leeds. Like, what does that say? When he's got 2 massive games to line up in, right? You know, links to Brighton and other Premier League clubs, or potentially going back to Juventus, and you have Radrizzani coming out saying that he's part of a consortium to save Sampdoria. Like, come on. What's going on? And you know that these stories are being fed by people within the circle. You know, that's Weston McKennie's agent and probably Rads himself.
Yeah.
It's
unbelievable. I mean, I'm absolutely gobsmacked with it. Just finish on the Cody drama point. Michael, Cody drama situation is hyped by his agent about clubs showing interest in him at Luton. He was one of the most dribble pass defenders in the Championship.
Statistically, that is true. Yeah, statistically, that is true. But you know what, Michael? He's still better than our other 2 options at right back. And again,
it's potential, isn't it? Look at his age, for goodness sake. Do you know what I mean? There's potential, isn't it?
Me and Brownie are not sat here saying that Cody Drama's the answer. The fact is that we're saying that he's our best choice right back, and that is the problem. Why have we signed Rasmus Christensen, who is now playing at centre-back, as the replacement for Luke Ayling, and he's actually worse than a League One right-back?
Absolutely. David, Rads, get your hands in your pocket. I want my 10% back on my season ticket. Well, absolutely. It's coming now, isn't it? Definitely. Fergal, thing is, the 49ers have a lot invested in the club, so they won't sell. Hopefully, they'll take a majority stake and make the changes necessary. That is what I'm hoping, and that's what needs to happen, in my opinion, Fergal. They need to come in, they need to say, right, this is our cards laid out on the table. We're taking a majority share. We're bringing in this person as director of football. We're putting this in place. This is going to be our manager. This is the plan. And it needs to get moving forward, because the depressing thing for me is we have no legacy from the Premier League. We've been there 3 years. The ground isn't improved. I saw Michael Norman from the Square Ball tweet this. There is no legacy. There is no legacy from the Premier League, and that is scandalous. The stadium's exactly the same. It's got the same bloody stains on the wall from when it was, in League One all them years ago. There is nothing. You wouldn't even know this club has been in the Premier League. And when
we're trying to do it all on the cheap, mate. On the cheap.
Exactly. Well, yeah, absolutely. This is exactly what it is. Tried to do it on the cheap. I mean, like you've mentioned earlier, we finished 9th in that first Premier League season, and we give him Firpo and Dan James to make the push on. And it's clearly not going well at the start of the season. Something's broken. Players haven't got the legs anymore. Something is going wrong in that team. And it gets to the January, and we do nothing.
Brownie, he told them. He told them that them players are only capable with my methods to do 3 years, and they did 3 years. And still at the end of January, he had us in 14th place or whatever. Like, with no investment, we brought in nobody in that January. We all know this. We've gone through this time and time again. And it's only now, as time's gone on, that we've seen just how bad it was and how right he was at the time. Like,
yeah.
Exactly. But just Fergal's comment about the 49ers, I think the best that we can hope for in that situation is that they take a majority stake and Rad stays on for another year in the hope that he gets the money, and the 49ers employ a director of football and employ the manager, and Rad's kind of disappears out the side door a little bit. He still owns 40% or whatever. I think that's the best we can hope for, because I'm telling you, he ain't walking away without a year of trying to get that 200 million back. That's how I see it. Don't know what you're feeling.
No, well, that's my nightmare position. That's the thing I'm terrified of, that he's going to try and cling on, and he wants that full fee for the club. And I just think it's going to be so toxic next year if he's still majority owner and we're making these daft decisions, and God knows who. I mean, how does it work if he's still majority, employing a director of football? Look, they were arguing over Jack Harrison, selling Jack Harrison 2 hours before the window shut. They're clearly disagreeing, and it's really hurting us. And it's hurt us in January, and it's hurt us all season. Can't have a summer of that. Can't have a summer of, yeah, but I want to do this. No, but I want to do this. Yeah, but I want to do that. Can't have it. Can't have it, because we're going to squander the parachute payments. We're going to lose players for nothing, and we will have no plan on how the hell we get back to the Premier League.
I mean, we're already miles behind it. Behind. Southampton today have taken on Russell Martin as their new manager. They're already on with it.
Yeah.
And, that Southampton squad, they will probably have 7 or 8 of that team starting in their team next season. Because, again, they're just built different. Yet they've been in the Premier League for, I think it's 11 consecutive seasons, and they are more prepared for Championship football than we are. It's just the truth.
It's a joke. Richo, evening Leeds fans. Oh, God, Richo, Everton fan. Bloody hell, mate. Honestly, you must have a smile from ear to ear, I think.
Just on Michael's comment. Sorry, go on. I'll let you read it out.
Yeah, so Michael, I see a silver lining at Leeds, and I'm convinced Leeds will bounce back in the Premier League within 2 seasons, and the right recruitment in Championship with players and coaches plus parachute payments. Leeds are fine.
Based off what we've had, Michael, other than Bielsa, where's your evidence to say that that's the case? Because I think we have to kind of come to terms with the fact that Rads is probably going to be here next season. I just don't believe that, he's got 450 million or whatever it is up as an offer. And it'll go down to, I think the value Leads at 175 million as a Championship club. He ain't going to walk away from that money, mate. He's
at the casino, and he's at the casino going, I can win my money back by staying. I can keep winning my money back. And he's going to end up losing even more value if they don't get back up. It really is. Spawn of Satan, you do well to keep Big Sam as manager. He'll sort the mess out. He's been there, done it, got the t-shirt. He'd get you straight back up if you go down. I don't know. I mean, like Jason you were alluding to me. I mean, we don't know if he's still got it in him.
Moved
we
on.
don't know if he's still got it in him, do we?
It's moved on. You know, the last time that Sam won promotion, the managers that he was competing against were Ian Holloway, Alan Pardew.
Yeah.
You know, the managers like that, Chris Hughton. It's not that anymore. And I'm not saying that there ain't a place for managers like that to be successful. Like football is won and lost in different ways. But, you know, does he have the ways and the means to be able to galvanize a team over 46 games? We don't know that. He hasn't done it for over 10 years.
No,
so
exactly. Impossible to say. David, this is the heartbreaker for me. 16 years to get back, 3 years to go back down, utter shambles. And by the way, this season is one of the worst, if not the worst, I've had supporting Leeds. It really is.
I agree.
We played in League One and we got relegated from the Championship. And when we got relegated from the Premier League, but do you know what? When we got relegated from the Premier League last time, at least we'd soared some heights. At least we'd, Champions League and UEFA Cup runs and high league positions. It was almost like, do you know what? It's like Leicester going down now. If I'm a Leicester fan, I'm going, this is awful. But look at what we achieved when we were in the Premier League. Look, FA Cup, Premier. Look at what we've experienced, Europe. We've got nothing. We've done all this work for nothing.
There were a reason to it as well. You know, like the mismanagement of the club then ended up resulting in the monetary issues that we obviously experienced. And that was the reason that we then had the demise that we had. And, the behind the scenes became toxic and we suffered for that. We did, but it still had a reason. This has no reason. This is just poor management, poor recruitment, everything that was so avoidable. You literally could have got a statistician off of Twitter that had done a better job in our recruitment in the summer. Genuinely, I mean, hand on heart, you could have recruited a voluntary scout, to have done a better job for our first team recruitment than the team did this summer. It's a fact.
You could. It's like when you saw Nottingham Forest and you thought, God, scattershot approach, this in it, signing so many players, but then they got players with quality.
Yeah.
They
had the right
quality
manager.
that you were like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? You understand? Look at them. Look at what they've been able to do.
I didn't agree with the way that they treat Lewis O'Brien, right? But the facts are is that Steve Cooper made a decision that he weren't right for his squad and he cut him out. We're still, give Luke Ayling another year. I don't want to make it all about bashing the old guy because I love him just as much as everybody else.
Sentimentality, FC, isn't it? Sentimentality, FC.
Like in years to come, in 20 years' time, I will look back and speak with my kids about that promotion team, regardless of this year and last year. I'll love them forever. Like I've got a photo behind me of the full squad. Players in there like the lad that went to Blackpool, young centre back. I can't remember his name now. Robbie Gotts is on there. I remember them all. Ryan Edmondson. I remember them all because they were all part of a time for me that will be forever in my heart. And Bielsa was the top of that. But that doesn't mean that we then keep them on forever. They're not good enough. We can pick the bones out of everything from this season, and the ultimate kind of driver comes back that the recruitment was wrong, and the players that we then trusted the job with don't have the quality to do it. That's it. It's as simple as that.
No, absolutely. Dad of Dion. I hope I've said that right, mate. Sorry about butchering that. Thanks for your comment. 18 months ago, we were a global football story. Now we're just another grim club. Yeah. I mean, we had the halo for a long time. We were special. It really felt like we were special and other clubs were jealous of what we had, because we all idolized Bielsa. The style of football, how exciting we were. We always went to attack, and we were getting viewing figures out of this world in South America. There's global interest. We had the documentary on Amazon that came out that was brilliantly timed as well because we got all the interest going. And the owners loved it. The owner, Rads and all those guys who were very vocal, living off the back of it. They absolutely reveled in the limelight. And then fast forward 18 months and there's nothing left. It's an absolute disgrace. It is an absolute disgrace. Richo, I'm interested in what what's the Everton point of view here? Are you guys jumping for joy now? You must be. We've been just as bad as Leeds this season. New owners incoming, big overhaul in the summer, board out, players out, need stability going into our new stadium next year. I mean, I've got to say, Richo, no offence, mate, but Everton are bloody lucky to survive. You've been terribly run for years. I don't know how you keep getting away with this. How do you keep getting away with this? I don't understand how Everton are getting away with it.
Everton are the only club in the
like
league.
Everton actually as a club. I really like Everton as a club. I don't know how you keep getting away with this.
Everton are the only club in the league that are run worse than Leeds. Yeah. They are. They're the only club in the league that will run worse than Leeds. And, they should have had a points deduction this season. They won't. It'll probably go on next season. And the teams, not just Leeds, but the other teams will feel hard done by it. But that's just the way that it works, unfortunately. Their recruitment has been worse than ours, considering the value of the players that they've bought and the money that they've spent over the years, and for what it's obviously got them, which has just been relegation battle for the last 3 years. I think the likelihood is they'll probably be involved in a relegation battle next season as well, because I think FFP is going to kind of force them that they still can't spend for another year, but it's deep rooted. Like, they need to pull the root out and start again almost. I mean, relegation would be horrific for Everton too, by the way. Yeah. Like, it'd probably be worse for them than it will be for us. I'll say that. But you've got slightly more Premier League stomach and experience than we have, and that's why you'll stay up and we won't.
Like, Dash was there longer than Allardyce as well. Came in just probably lastminute.com, wasn't it? Getting him in really. Dylan, thanks for your comment, mate. Hi, lads. Found your channel recently. Bleak time again at the club. Only success I've seen in my 19 years, and it's gone like that, mate. I feel for you. I really do feel for you. I mean, my tragedy is I started supporting Leeds a year after they won the old First Division, when we had that great midfield, Batty, Speed, Strachan and McAllister, and I've not seen us win anything yet apart from a championship trophy, but I feel your pain, because it wasn't supposed to be like this. The story was Leeds returning to the big time again for me. If you'd have said third season, what would Leeds be up to back in the Premier League? I'd have been thinking where Villa are and Brighton, and I would have thought we'd have been in the upper echelons now, not about to sink back to the Championship again.
I've said this so many times as well, though, Brownie. It isn't that difficult to get the points to finish 15th. It's really, really not. Like, as bad as we've been this season, we go into the last game of the season. If we'd have picked up 5 more points, we'd have been done, boxed off. And that's with us stinking the place out. So it's really, really not that difficult. But we've set ourselves up to fail. And I mean, there's so much to pick. I mean, we didn't even analyze the game at this rate. We're 40 minutes in and we've not even really spoken about the game, but it's just a mess. It's an absolute mess. I would love to be a fly on the wall in training and see what actually has been going on with some of these, some of the conversations.
There's something has gone on. There's a total divide. There's a total split. I don't think they like each other, the players. I think there's a genuine dislike of each other. I think there's cliques. I think there's all sorts that's going on there. German, thanks for your comment, mate. People think we are going to go down and come right back up like Burnley and Sheffield United. Wishful thinking. I've got to agree with you, mate. I think it is wishful thinking. I think this is Leeds we're talking about. Do you know what I mean? We don't do that kind of thing. Daniela Stewart, thank you for your comment. As a West Ham fan, I could not understand why you fans and other fans thought we would rest players in this game. The final 2 weeks away, and this was our last home game in a poor season. We're desperate, Daniela. We're desperate. When we saw you get through in Europe, I thought, and I saw that team today from West Ham, and I was like, oh my God.
I actually didn't subscribe to the idea that it was a good thing that they won the game. I was more on the other side, that it had been better if they'd have lost, heads down, not to play for at all, no team to fight for, because they're all going to want to play the final, all that. But you know what, Daniel, it's not a case of that we thought you would rest loads of players. Either way, it should have been a benefit for us. You either rest loads of players to make sure that you're not getting injuries towards the final. Yeah, so that makes perfect sense considering the fact that they played 3 days ago, or you don't rest players and they're all knackered. Like, they were all on the piss Thursday night. They didn't get back in England till Friday. They did a bit of training Saturday, and then we're playing again today. And it's not about West Ham. It's about what it says about our boys and how far off of it are they. They had so much to play for today, and West Ham, they didn't even have to turn up.
And
West
they were
Ham,
the kids. Have you seen them in the
coming
tunnel
out.
before they get the kids? Yeah.
Yeah.
That is it. Oh, we're just going to go kick about, beat Leeds United 3-1 because they're absolutely useless.
West Ham did not play well today. They didn't have to, because especially after Pat came off, and maybe we should get into the game a little bit, but after Pat came off, you had the run of the game. The second half was embarrassing. It was like the Forest game or the Fulham game, both away games in the league. Literally, the home side just coasted through, and today we had so much on the line. We had to win.
We did. It's just diabolical. A couple of comments we'll get to, and then we'll try and have a look at the game and just try and figure out what happened. Ishtar, this reminds me of the Ridsdale O'Leary saga, not in its specifics, but more by the fact that the work put in was thrown away and into the faces of our loyal fans. Yeah, I mean, it's, we just get it in the neck, don't we, all the time, that the fans, it's absolutely brutal.
The only reason, Ishtar, that we're not in exactly the same situation is because Rads is too tight. That's the only reason why we've not gone down a sinkhole into abyss of spending money, and FFP don't allow it in the way that it used to do. But for me, Rads' shoestring budget has kind of always made sure that we'd stay away from that. It's not, it's not about the fact that he hasn't spent money, because he has spent money. It's just how he's done it and the lack of planning and thought and strategy and just terrible decision making.
Wayne, thank you for your comment, mate. I think that's it now. Everton will beat Bournemouth at home. Yeah, I mean, it's just, there's no, I'm not, I saw a few tweets like, well, I mean, I think even Phil put in the headlines like, they're in the last chance saloon. No, we're not. It's done.
No, it's done.
It's done. It's absolutely done.
It'd have to be an absolute freak for us to turn it around, because I just don't see that Everton are going to get something at least. I see them winning the game, but I think they get something at least, which then leaves us needing to beat Spurs by 3 clear goals.
We can't beat anyone. We don't know how to win a game of football. It's gone. Yeah. It's totally gone. Daniela, I must admit I was playing cricket and did not see the game. Lucky you. I wish I were playing cricket instead of watching that load of rubbish. So the game itself then, Jason, I mean, like we say, it was a bright start. We're creating a few opportunities. We get the goal, and then obviously we just start to go backwards. And then it was one thing after the other. Bamford, how impactful was it that he got injured and came off? What did it do to the structure of the team, do you think?
I mean, it again was the prime evidence that everything that people have been saying about us needing Pat in the team was there in evidence, because up until him going off, we were the better side. He went off and we were lost. The ball came out. We cleared the ball and it was just in their possession. West Ham picked the ball up and started to build up another attack. And up until him coming off injured, he was stretching him. He looked quick today, I thought. He looked like he had a turn of pace. It looked like he were running fluidly. It looked like he were up for it. But then, I don't know, I still don't fully buy it. I think he could have carried on. I do. I don't think he was as injured as what he was making out. I could be wrong. Look at Rodrigo. And I mean, players are supposed to a point have to protect themselves as well. But I think, he owes us a little bit, Pat. And I think he looked for the first way out. I do.
Yeah.
He didn't seem to
didn't fancy it.
Just didn't fancy it. I thought, he took a bump off of one at centre backs and we're like, see a way out of this.
Yeah.
But, that's just me being maybe cynical. I don't know. But going back to the analysis of the game, he definitely was making a massive difference today. And you saw it the second that he weren't there. I had somebody say to me the other day, Rodrigo should start there or we should start Rutter there. No, come on, look at the evidence. Yes, he misses too many chances. We know that, but he's still our best number 9 at the club.
What is it?
Not his fault.
what is he actually doing then? Is it the physicality? Is it the kind of hold up play? I mean, technically Rodrigo's a better player than him,
sure.
but what is it that he's just able to do?
There's a couple of things. I mean, he uses his body quite well. He's prepared to back up against the centre back and really challenge for the ball. Rodrigo doesn't do that. He backs in and hopes that it goes over the top and spins. Like, it's not his game. And he's also, Bamford's way more intelligent than people give him credit for. He makes intelligent runs. He stretches the defense. He occupies them. He takes them into the channels. You don't always see it because it's cut off from the TV. You're just seeing the player make the pass. Sometimes it doesn't always go to Patrick Bamford, but the pass is aimed in that direction and it'll force a defender to put it out for a throw-in. There's a lot that teams do in the build-up for games tactically that involves winning a throw-in 30, 40 yards inside the opposition half. If the striker doesn't make the run that he needs to, the defender's not then forced to clear the ball out in a certain way. It's small things that the standard fan that just tries to enjoy football doesn't see and understand. But that's what happens, and that's what Pat does. So, I mean, from the second that Pat went off the pitch, the game was lost. It was, mate. I mean, watch it back if you want to. It was lost. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Some comments to get through to here. Let's have a look. When Championship has a lot of other big clubs next season, won't be a cakewalk for anyone. Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, if Sheffield Wednesday come up as well, it's going to be. There's going to be quite a lot going on there. AJ, enough of Bamford, 6 goals in 2 seasons. But it's everything else, isn't it?
It's 2 things, though, AJ. Right? The goals are a problem, but the club have decided not to recruit another striker. So the best number 9 that we have at the club is Patrick Bamford. So he has to play. Like 6 goals in 2 seasons. Yeah, he should have been sold. He should have gone. He should have gone after the 17 goals. But no, Rad's, emotion, rah-rah. Like, he's the man, England international. Like,
it's
so frustrating. There should be a striker that is an out-and-out number 9, pushing and challenging Patrick Bamford. Forest have stayed up, and they've stayed up because of the goals that Awoniyi scored in this last couple of weeks. It's not a great number 9. He's not. But you know what? They went through Chris Wood. He didn't work. They've got Surridge, who's an out-and-out number 9. And then, they found goals through Awoniyi. They've had options of strikers that can play in that position. We don't have that. Bamford has been struggling all season still with fitness. He comes out of the team, and we are screwed. We have no other number 9.
Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it? Going up 1-0 actually worked against us. We start to play not to lose rather than to win. Worst of all, West Ham didn't have to try that hard to turn the match around. Felt like a testimonial for them. I mean, do you think we took the lead too early? I mean, or do you think it's just it doesn't matter with Leeds? It's kind of whenever we'd have taken the lead, we'd have ended up tossing it away.
I don't buy that because, I mean, look at how many times this season where we said we dominated the first half and then went on to lose a game. And in them games, we didn't score. Look at Forest away this season. There's so many times this season where we can say that. But if you don't score when you get a scoring opportunity, then you never score. Like, the fact is if we hadn't scored, West Ham would have ended up coming into the game more and probably done what they did to a second half anyway. They didn't look like they had any hangover from Thursday night at all. So, no, I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. We made it a testimonial match because we made it so easy for them.
Absolutely. Richard, Leeds United, why do they do this to their own fans? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It feels almost like we reached that pinnacle a couple of years back just to have the collapse, just to really twist the knife into us, doesn't it? Give us that hope and then really kick us in the balls then. Fiden, thanks for your comment, mate. Bring back Alioski. I know I miss Alioski actually. Do you know?
I miss Alioski, but he's not the answer.
No, this is it makes me laugh. The click thing as well. I know, like the click is the answer. Like why did we get rid of him when he's scoring goals for DC United?
Yeah,
and it's like
If click's the answer, what's the question?
What has he done apart from Wolves at the start of the season? I don't understand what it's. We needed to push forward and open our eyes to other players, and it's just ridiculous.
Paul's feeling optimistic, and Everton ain't guaranteed to beat Bournemouth. I mean, if you think, by the way, Bournemouth have lost 4 straight games
Yeah.
Since beating Leeds United.
Yeah.
4 straight losses.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So if you think that Everton are not going to beat Bournemouth at Goodison on the final day with things in their hands, in my opinion, you're off your head. But one thing I can tell you is they're not going to lose next
No,
weekend.
they're not going to lose.
And that means that we need to win 3-0. So you do the maths, because I just don't see it.
You can guarantee Spurs will turn up in some way, shape, or form against us. They've been absolutely horrendous, but it's Leeds United. If you need a bit of form, if you need a goal, if you've not scored for 10 years, play against Leeds, and we will help you. We will, we'll break those bad records that you've got. We've done it how many times?
Son and Kane to finish the
out.
season off. Yeah,
charity.
Constantly.
Leeds United is a bloody charity. It really is. Rabona Red, thanks for your comments. Should Big Sam stay in the Championship? Well, we've talked about this earlier. And my thing is, and Jason, you raised a really good point. As the game moved on a bit, his competitors who he was competing against, it was a different world back then. I've liked some of what he's done since he's come in, but let's be honest, he's not won a game, has he? And I know it's not a sample size, really, 4 games, but if he doesn't win a game before he leaves, are you really going to want to keep him? Or do you really need to set out a new philosophy? But the thing is, who's going to even decide that now? This is what we're saying. It's
that's
such
a bigger problem.
It's such a mess.
That's exactly the bigger problem. Is deciding what's going to happen above that. And I totally and utterly understand the arguments for keeping Sam for a season, create a bit of stability and rebuild and whatnot. But like Brownie just says, if he starts off with the form guy to put us 12th in the division, fans are going to be up in arms. Yeah. And I mean this, I'll say this, and you guys can clip it up and come back and say, Jay, you were bang wrong, in 12 months' time. I would be happy. No, happy is the wrong word. I would be shocked if we were to finish top half in the Championship next season. I'm telling you, I would be content with staying up next season. Yeah. Because I think it's going to be that much of a mess. I understand parachute payments, understand strength and all the rest of it, but the amount of work that needs to be had throughout the whole club, manager, director of football, ownership, players wanting to leave, players coming in, players that then we keep that don't want to stay. It's a mess. Yeah, it is an absolute mess. So for me, I can understand, coming back to my point, I can understand the argument to keep Sam for a year. But it's just not very long-term thinking.
100% not. Rabona Red, Bournemouth Beach, fair enough, yeah. This is it, exactly. Look at Arsenal against Forest. Jesus wept. Can somebody do us a favour? Brighton getting spanked by Everton. We don't deserve to get this look, or we don't deserve it, but it would have been nice if some of these other teams could have turned up. Arsenal against Forest, and what is that? It's like, how were you even in the title race? Yeah. You set of clowns. You set of absolute clowns.
I said to you yesterday, didn't I, that Brighton and Arsenal had given Forest and Everton 6 points between them each. Which would see us safe. But you know what, Brownie? We shouldn't be able to stay up on 31 points. I'm sorry, we shouldn't. No, we probably shouldn't be able to stay up on 34. No. So I got no... we deserve to go down. We deserve to go. We do. Daniella's going to send me over edge. If we employ Scott Parker, I'll freak out. I swear I'll freak out.
Hang on, I've missed that. Where is that? Is that Daniela on about getting Scott? Oh, please, God, no. God, no. I think they couldn't wait to get rid of him at Club Bruges, could they? Absolutely. Please.
No. LA, it is that bad. It is that bad. Forest are a bit of a mishmash off the field as well, but you can see by the performances that they've got a togetherness between the players, which is the most important thing, and the manager, and they have actually recruited some quality. They have got quality there because the recruitment have got it right most of the time.
Yeah.
But for us, unless you're a Leeds fan and you're actually seeing what's going on right the way through the club from this last 2 years since Bielsa's left, the place is a mess. Yeah, it's a mess.
100% it is. Absolutely. Richard, is Leeds United going to get a new stadium? Not anytime soon, I don't think. Richard, Leeds population is 800,000 people. Yeah, I mean, it's just dreadful. Ishtar Sam would be a good character to admin a clear out because he's got the bottle to do it. Yeah, I don't think he'd have any problems telling people exactly what he thinks of them. I mean, one of the things that Orta is actually meant to have, succeeded at with Leeds is putting a very good young or youth team, under 21s team, whatever you want to call it, there, Matteo Joseph, Sonny Perkins, Joe Gelhart, he's the one who's kind of brought that team together. But I mean, Christ almighty, I wish we'd have just got the first team right.
The problem is Brownie. I mean, you recruit youth and that's fine. And some of it will be in sell-on, some of it will be on, future sell-on fees and stuff like that. Because most of your under 23s or under 21s, whatever it is, don't end up becoming first team regulars. They just don't. Not in any club. That's just the way football works. What we've got in our under 23 setup at the moment, there's a lot of potential there, but there's not many that I would want to see start in the Championship next season. No. Not many at all. There's an argument that Charlie Cresswell's not even ready, and he's had a full season in the Championship with Millwall. And he probably would play next season. He probably would, but there's still an argument to say that he's not ready to play. What have you got in the Burnley's team this season? What have you got in the Sheffield United's team this season? No.
Very good point. Great point. Point. Yeah, I think that really says it all. I think that's a really good way of putting it, to be honest. LA, it's never that bad, surely. Forest fan, but wanted Leeds to stay up. Wow. Forest fan that wanted Leeds to stay up. Wow. There you go. But, it's like Forest, though, having Forest back in the Premier League, it was nice. It was a big team, historic team. Again, it feels like a proper big team in the Premier League.
Them fans have played a part this season as well, I've got to say. The City ground is bouncing.
Yeah. Teams just absolutely can't handle playing there.
No,
teams cannot handle that atmosphere at all. Richard, our lowest points in a season in our history, is that Everton or Leeds, mate? I'm sure it might be both, actually.
I think it means lowest points total in the season. Well, the points total that we're on now is lower than the points total that we went down with in 2004.
Is it? God, yeah. I remember, and that season was an absolute, just a write-off. Yeah. German, according to projections, Leeds have 92% odds of being relegated. Is that all? Should be higher than that, shouldn't it? Really? Jesus, blimey.
Joe Wynnum was saying it earlier. It feels nothing like last season. Nothing like it. We've said it for weeks. It feels nothing like it. But it just doesn't. This isn't like going into Brentford away last year when Burnley had Newcastle. It's nothing like it. Nothing. No. I mean, fair respect to any fan that wants to keep some sort of shred of hope, but not for me, unfortunately.
Guys, if you could just like the video as well, that'd be much appreciated. Get your comments in as well. So he's confirmed it. That was Everton's history. Fair enough. One thing from today, Jace, and Allardyce has mentioned this after the match as well. He's disappointed with the impact of the substitutes. Is that fair, or is that? I'm not quite sure what you expecting when it.
I think what he means, Brownie, is disappointed about the quality of options off the bench. So maybe impact is the wrong word, but what I think he's saying, because he's referenced this a couple of times, is that the squad quality isn't good enough, and it's not. We know it's not. There isn't another Premiership side that brings on Sam Greenwood. There isn't, and I'm not hating out on the kid, but he's not good enough. Nonto is a bit of an exception, but even he's gone off the boil and he's not been playing well. Sam, before he took over, said he'd play every week. He's seen him within 2 weeks. He played his first game. He's not started again since. So, and I know we've seen moments from him and he's definitely got bags of potential, Italian international, all the rest of it. But, the options that we're looking to on the bench, Jorginho Rutter, Forshaw or Rocker or whoever started. Today Jeremiah Mullen was on the bench. Why? I love Jeremiah Mullen. He's one of the best, at that level. He's an exceptionally good defender, by the way. I think he's only just turned 17. He's got bags of potential. Seen him a few times, really like him. But why is he on the bench today? What impact? Liam Cooper's on the bench, mate. So Jeremiah Mullen's not going to come on even if we get an injury. No. So why is he there? He's there because we've not got anybody else. Yeah. What does it say about Matteo Joseph and Sonny Perkins?
I mean,
How far?
Sonny Perkins. I mean, you were hearing such amazing things about him, and have we seen him since that FA Cup against Cardiff?
I don't
I mean,
think so.
I don't think we've seen him anywhere near the first team.
So I think that's what he was referring to. I think he's referring to about the level of options that they can bring off the bench. You know, look at the options that West Ham had today as an example.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be that far off them. Yeah, they're more established, but in terms of the scale of the operation, we should be able to bench 6 or 7 real game impacting substitutes, and we can't. One or two tops.
Lee, thanks for your comment, mate. In a nutshell, Big Sam said these players are crap. He just rephrased it exactly. Rene, what complete? You know what? Today, I'm still fuming. Yeah, I think that's how I feel today. I'm just absolutely fed up with it all, fuming, all of it. Really, it's just I think because a couple of weeks ago, before the Newcastle game, I had really resigned myself to us not having a chance and going down, and then I think the way the Newcastle game went and the fact we got a point and we were still hanging in there, it has built up for me over the week. I thought, you know what, actually, there's a chance. And then yesterday's game, obviously, it'd have been better if Everton lost, but there was still a chance for Leeds today. And to lose like that so meekly, to just lose so meekly is just...
With the performance today, you're right. That's the most disappointing thing. It weren't even like we were asking West Ham to hold on. No. Like we weren't throwing kitchen sink at them. We had nothing from the 30th minute onwards. We were done. We were washed.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Richard, why don't players, Rads, and the board care about Leeds United? I'm guessing that's what you mean, mate. And it, I don't know. I think it's just all since Bielsa went. I just think it's all crumbled, and they don't know what they're doing. Radrazan is not a football man. He don't have a Scooby Doo. I don't think. He put his trust into Victor Orta. He gave Victor Orta way too much power, for which he should be held accountable. But for me, Victor Orta is, what he's done, the money he's spent, the money he's wasted, the courting of Jesse Marsh for 2 years. This guy was courting Jesse Marsh, a man who clearly wasn't up to it, wasn't fit to do it. Maybe Marsh in the future will be a really successful manager in Europe. I don't know, but certainly wrong time for Leeds and the wrong man. And we could have had our pick after Bielsa left. We could have had our pick of managers. We could have had unbelievable managers after Bielsa left. We could have had some absolutely incredible managers. Gallardo, Slot, Iraola. We could have had so many options. Emery. We could have really had our pick of the bunch, and we trusted so much in Marsh because Orta was like that with him. Orta was so tight with this guy, and he invested so much in him. Didn't want him, talked Rads out sacking him before then. And I look at Orta and I go, mate, you've made probably one good decision in your entire tenure. Okay, a few youth signings, fair play. But in terms of first team, in terms of that kind of thing, you've probably made one right decision getting Bielsa. That is his masterstroke, and that is all he has to show for his reign. Yeah. And you know what? Why didn't you back Bielsa at the end? You know what really annoys me about Orta? See these clips of Orta going, "Oh, Bielsa was the most intelligent man I've ever met," and all this kind of stuff. You think, well, why did you sack him? Why didn't you back him? Why were you still playing for Marsh? Why were you still trying to defend Marsh? But Bielsa, the guy who delivered everything to us, it was like, yeah, it was time to go for Bielsa.
It was the drubbins, wasn't it? It was the drubbins towards the back end of Bielsa.
The teams we were playing,
but we needed context. Yeah, we lost to really good teams with no players. We had no players available. You wanted for us to stay up at the end of that season without a squad fit to do it.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that Bielsa would have got the results that Jesse got between then and the end of the season. No doubt about it. But again, we're going back 2 years to kind of try and pick that out. The mistakes that they've made since then. The mistakes that they've made this season alone is bad enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, question, guys. Do you think the fans will accept the players' final home game guard of honour walk around the pitch could get very toxic? The thing is, though, about the Leeds fans, we backed them through some absolutely turgid games this season. We've not seen the anger, I don't think, this season. I think it was going to spill over potentially when we were playing Bournemouth at home before we beat them 4-3. I remember that being a very kind of raucous atmosphere. But generally speaking, we've stuck behind them. I mean, some people are saying they get too much support and they get into, I know they got a lot of grief at the end of what was that Bournemouth game, wasn't it? Away this season where they were getting absolutely slaughtered. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it
I
helped.
think Browner.
The thing is, I don't want to see players like Ayling get dogs abuse when they have had great careers, 250 appearances. It's very hard though, because it's so aggravating watching how crap they are.
I think it'll be very much a case of I think Rads has kind of popped that bubble a little bit in getting rid of Orta. I don't see it being a toxic environment towards the players. I think it being more very much a disappointment, upset, apathetic kind of clapping. I don't see it being toxic. I see it being miserable. That's what I see it being. I bet there's a lot of Marcelo Bielsa chance.
Yeah.
As we get relegated when the game's over. If by any worldly imagination we hear early that Bournemouth have gone in front and Leeds take a 1-0 win, you best believe Ellen Road will be all over the place. It will. Yeah. I believe that because I think the fans have got the potential to do that. Like, I think the fans have been very, very good this season on the whole. But that's how I see it kind of trickling through. I could imagine at full time there might be even a bit of Rads time to go kind of thing, but I don't think it'll be horrific.
Vicious.
I think it'll be sad. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Richard, did you see the forecast of Leeds United's downfall after their first full season? Not me at all. I was in dreamland. I thought this was the start of big things for Leeds. I really did. I thought we'd be in Europe by now. I really did. I believed so much in everything we were doing, and I was blinded. I was completely blinded, and I just thought always with Bielsa, it'll be okay.
I think we always knew that the Bielsa days were going to end at some point. I always expected Bielsa to kind of get to the summer, and we heard that he'd not gotten. He decided to go somewhere else, or the club had decided to go to the next chapter under the 49ers or whatever, and that conversation had ended. That relationship had ended. Sorry. And then there was going to be a transitional phase that was difficult. I expected that, but I never expected us to be battling relegation like this every season. I fully expected season after we finished 9th. I said to a lot of mates, we'll finish 13th or 14th. A lot of people were like, no, you should be pushed on from 9th. No, realism. Yeah, you need to build and consolidate. And then after we scrimped it last season, I said again, I thought we'd finish about 14th. Progress on, finish on 44 points or something. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot to ask for, but again, we just didn't. We just got it so wrong.
So wrong. Really badly wrong. 14-14 Yorks. Thanks for your comment, mate. Millwall were nailed on for the playoffs until Cresswell got injured. That's how weak some teams are relying on our lone play. And I think you mentioned above there's a lot of bad teams in the Championship, and you think we'd have a good opportunity there. We'll wait to see about that one. Rene, if you look at Marsh's system of play and compare that to Orta's signings, it makes absolutely no sense. Inmates running the asylum.
Facts. Spot on.
Just absolutely. It's just sickening, absolutely sickening the amount of money we've wasted as well for what? For absolutely what? Interesting point here from David as well. Thanks for your comment. Wonder what thousands waiting in the season ticket queue are still happy to wait. And that's interesting, that, because obviously the boom period we had under Bielsa, the demand for can't get a ticket on you can't get a ticket. It's so hard. Season ticket demand, stadium's not big enough to cope with the demand. Are we going to see it all drop off now, Jason? Are we going to see all that was built up drop off?
There's a chance. I mean, I do think we've got some of the best fans around, but we also are very fickle. It ain't that long, and some people won't like to hear this, but it ain't that long ago since we had 25,000 in Championship games at home, and there were reasons. There were reasons for that. Some Chelino, GFH, and all the rest of it. But who's to say that the same people don't feel like that about the Rads ownership now, once we go down. So I don't know. I think we'll still be, I still think we'll sell out most weeks in the Championship, certainly for the first couple of seasons back in the Championship, and see how it goes and whatnot. People won't want to risk not being able to have a ticket should we come back up and whatnot, but I don't know. I don't know. My kind of outlook on next season is pretty bleak. So
yeah. Well, I mean, this is it. I mean, it's such a short turnaround as well, and so many issues to get sorted out. I can totally see us going down the Huddersfield way. I really can, honestly. Wayne, think the fans could have taken going down with Bielsa, would have stayed, and would have had direction still under him. Crazy decision. I think it's proving to be just an absolute. It's such a shame that we were getting spanked under Bielsa at the end, because it really did poison what was actually happening. If we weren't getting spanked, if we'd have just had close losses at that time, he'd have potentially stayed. It was just such a shame that we were getting spanked like we were. But you look at the quality of teams we were playing, and we've been worse off this season. He got more points for us last season.
It's hard as a fan, Brownie, to know what's real and what's not, and like you can only take the things that you're seeing and hearing on face value. And we knew Bielsa to be what he was, and when you're hearing, we go to Bielsa with targets, and he's saying that they're not good enough. We just have to kind of accept that Bielsa's too picky, and that he has such blind faith in Matthias Klick to be better than anybody else that's out there. But it's not the reality of what was happening. We know that now. We can see that now, but you can't see that at the time.
No, you can't. Rennie, the only positive I can take out of this relegation is the bench clear out that's coming. I hope I never see most of these players again. I know that.
I feel that.
Yeah, it's unpleasant, isn't it?
I felt that about Pascal today. I messaged you about him. Like, watching him play winds me up. I just don't like looking at him because he's so passive and pathetic. And, and I know he's playing left back. It's not his natural position, but come on, man. But I feel that with a lot of them. I've started to feel like that towards Meslier when Mellier's been playing this season. And it's not just performances, it's some of its attitude. Adam Forshaw, I don't think's particularly good enough now, even though we've said at the beginning he's probably been our best midfielder, which is wild. But when I watch him play, I at least know that he's giving it everything he's got. You know what I mean? So
he's one of the few that comes out with a bit of credit in the bank actually after this season. 100%.
Still don't give him a new deal next season.
No, I know.
I don't new deals.
No, exactly. Richard, sometimes one man can build a team like Ferguson, Shankly, Clough and Bob Paisley, Don Revie. Leeds United need Marcelo Bielsa back. Not happening now. He's back with Uruguay. Well, not back with Uruguay, but he's gone to Uruguay. 14 yachts. Bielsa was great while it lasted. Rose-tinted glasses at the end. The team was running to the ground. His methods were not sustainable. Bamford ran his legs off for 3 years. His body hasn't been the same since. Yeah, but this is what we're saying. If we'd have properly recruited, if we'd have properly replenished the squad, we could have had new players that he could have run into the ground, but they'd have been at the start of the cycle. We were still trying to do it with Dallas and Ayling and all these guys. We had to really, what was this stupid idea of, right, we'll spend a bit of money when we come up, but then the second season we'll do bugger all, we'll sign nobody, we'll sign 2 players and we'll just rest on our laurels. I remember hearing Angus Kinnear say that. He's like, well, this is what we're going to do because blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, you can't do that in the Premier League.
I think that second summer's the worst transfer window any team has ever seen, ever. Yeah. Like, I genuinely do. We signed Junior Firpo because we lost Alioski.
Yeah.
And we weren't even going to sign Dan James until Ronaldo became available, and they ended up signing Ronaldo. That was the only reason we signed Dan James. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, we know how that went. I mean, God. It's a shame he ain't here now, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Like, that's wild in itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. At least it'd have been an option.
Yeah, left back. God almighty, can you imagine? Leeds remind me of Dell and Rodney becoming millionaires. Took so long to get there, lasted a while, then it went tits up. Yeah, I mean,
feels a bit like that.
It does absolutely feel like that, definitely. Richard, Marcelo Bielsa, football knowledge he loves. Leeds United fans loved him, and he could get the best out of what he was given. Bring him back. We ain't getting him back anytime soon. I mean, maybe one of his disciples, maybe an Iriola or someone like that potentially. I mean, I don't know if you can convince Iriola to drop to the Championship.
Not a chance, man.
The only way that would happen for me is if the ownership is clear. If it's the 49ers and they say to him, look, this is the plan, this is the budget, and it's, they back him. But
It blows my mind, right, that we got Jesse Marsh and Brighton got De Zerbi. That's the most mad one.
Oh my God.
It blows my mind.
Oh, don't say that.
It's true, though, isn't it? And
God.
you can't tell me that De Zerbi won't come to Leeds United over Brighton. But that's proper management and structure and ownership against our mob.
I can't cope with that. I honestly
Send him over edge.
I cannot cope with that. Like what we could have had and who we went for. German, what's your verdict on McKennie? He hasn't been bad, but I think we expected more. Do you know what? The thing with McKennie is, I have sympathy with McKennie because he was signed right at the end of the window. We thought it was going to be permanent, and then it was like this loan deal. He's got his best mate Tyler Adams sat with him at the press conference. You know, Jesse Marsh, you know, who he knows, and he's clearly thought, okay, there's a position for me here. There's you know, a rhyme and reason to this. Me coming to Leeds United, there's an American contingent there. You know, everything they're saying is good. And then a few days later, the manager that signed him is sacked. His best mate gets injured and he's out of the team for the rest of the period. He's got this guy on Twitter, his mate, I don't know who he is, who's like speaking on his behalf and really stirring up a lot of stuff against McKennie. And that's not McKennie's fault. Yeah. His performances, I mean,
and he's been played
hard to judge. It's hard to judge because, I mean, it shows, and for me, that, you know, he does have talent. You can see the technique is above a lot of what we've got in our team. And it's been exceptionally difficult for him. It would be difficult for any player to flourish in these conditions, surely.
I agree with you. I mean, you know, you still have to take a certain amount of responsibility, a professional kind of sense as well as a player. But I do agree with you. I think he's been asked to put up with a lot. And, you know, under Grassi, he was playing completely out of position. He was playing a role that he doesn't play. He's not particularly good at. It was being set up to fail. You know, he's playing alongside players that are not good enough. You know, he's playing alongside Adam Forshaw guys today. You know, if Adam Forshaw set up in Rotherham's midfield last weekend, you'd be like, oh, yeah, he's an all right, steady championship midfielder. And I'm not hating on him. I'm not, but that's the truth. So then when that's the case, what do you expect him to look like? You know, he's I put earlier that it reminds me of a set of other loan signings that we've had before, and I mentioned a couple of them earlier: Ross Barkley, Andros Townsend, Jake Livermore. These players that have come in on loan that have been expected to be way above the level, and then just not materialize like that. And sometimes for players, there is other reasons for that other than just not playing well. So yeah, I do have a level of sympathy for him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A couple of other comments I wanted to get to here. Kenneth, thanks for your comment. Tomb fan was hoping you would stay up. Thanks for that, mate. I mean, I'm just sick with jealousy at the minute. You're living the dream, really, aren't you, as a Newcastle fan? Because by God, I mean, you've had some unbelievable times. You've had a turgid ownership there under Mike Ashley for, I think you had him for like 15 years or something, wasn't it? Or 10 to 15 years or something. So, I mean, you guys suffered a long time, but you know, you're finally through that period now. And I mean, it's, you know, it's the dream situation, isn't it, really? Mark, I don't know, Mark. We might stay up, lads, if the other two teams don't win a game. And then he follows it up by we beat Spurs. Do we look like beating anyone?
No wins in 9, is it now?
Beating anyone. Come on.
We haven't won a game since Forest at home. Like, we couldn't beat Leicester at home, who were turgid.
Light on 2 seconds.
So some of the performances that we've put out recently, Palace at home, like, you know, it doesn't matter whether we're under Sam or under Grassi, it's still the same set of players.
Absolutely. I mean, Bully summed it up here. Mark, if you think we beat Spurs, can I have whatever you're smoking? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's just, I can't see it happening.
And it's we're now relying on Everton to not get anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I mean, we're down, 100% we're down. Rennie, I can't believe we're sitting here at mid-May with no director of football. Yeah, but how can you make the director of football decision when club ownership is split like it is? Because who makes that decision?
I mean, surely, Brownie, them conversations have to be going on in the background. With or without promotion. With or without staving off relegation, we should still be able to have them conversations. I don't know. Should we? I don't know. This is the problem. Like, we don't know. We don't know. It's just a mess.
I mean, if 49ers might be going, all right, forget this.
Yeah.
And if they take that attitude, if they just, because nobody's talking. Where's all the interviews? Where's Rads? Where's Kinnear? Where, can we have some kind of message? You know what we'll get when we get relegated next season? We'll just put out some crap statement that'll have one paragraph, and that'll be it. We need communication. We need to know what the hell is going on behind the scenes, because this is a mess.
A couple of comments I just want to pull out there. We've only won about 10 times since Bielsa. We've won 11 games since February 2022. That's facts. Bro. So in like 13 months, right? And then the second one, and this is going to put it into perspective for a lot of fans, right? So if Bamford had scored, Xavi would be still in Leeds. Now that might be true. He means against Leicester, right? I'm guessing. Yeah. That might be true, but how wild is it to think that if he had have scored that day, we'd have still had more points than we have now? Even if Xavi had have lost all of the games since, we'd have still had more points. We'd have had two more points than we have now.
So, I saw that. I thought the bloody Barcelona player. I was well confused then. I was like, what's he doing anyway in this situation? Has he gone shopping in Leeds or something? Like, what's going on? Let's have a look here. Mr. Dodo, thanks for your comment, mate. Wouldn't it be sensible for the 49ers to force buy for a lower price with relegation? He'll lose money, but he can shut up shop and run. Yeah, I mean, it's just whether, like we've said, if Mr. Radrazani will accept losing on his investment. I mean, he'll still have made money. Still have made a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, but Brownie, right? Dodo, right? So you've got Leeds United valued at 450 million quid here, Premiership. You've got them here at 150 million Championship, right? Yeah. You get parachute payments for going down, so you can use all of that to reinvest to try and get back up to 450 million worth of value in 1 year. Why is he going to sell it for 1 year? He's not. He's not. I'm telling you, the best that we can hope for is that he sells 10% of the club at a lower reduced rate and takes the 49ers up to 55% ownership or whatever. And so they then have the majority stake of the club, and then they take over the running of the club, employ their own director of football. If we get promoted in the first season, they'll buy us for 450 million quid. If they don't get promoted, they buy us for a reduced rate of, let's say, 250 million quid. He ain't going to walk away from 300 million quid just to shut up shop and run. He's not. He's a businessman.
Yeah. And they've got, broad shoulders. They can take all the criticism, can't they, when it comes to pennies in the pocket? Absolutely. AJ, why does no one think we're going to be in financial difficulty? Well, I mean, it's a fair enough point. I mean, this club knows more than any, what can happen when you're financially burned to the ground. We've got a lot of big deals. We still owe loads of money on transfers. Hopefully, we're going to be covered by parachute payments for a couple of years. I think all the players have got wage cuts, going down to the Championship. I hope to God they have anyway. But who knows? I mean, you look at Huddersfield Town. I was chatting to one of our Huddersfield Town guys, and he was saying, when they got new owners, when they got relegated to the Championship, they kind of just used the parachute payments as kind of like a loan to buy the club. And it was very murky, and all of a sudden that money's gone. Boom, it's gone. And once that's gone, it's gone. And so we have a very short window to compete in the Championship.
Yeah, I think it's 2 years, and it realistically as a maximum. I'm not worried about immediate financial difficulty because parachute payments are specifically designed to help relegated Premiership teams that are established in Premier League setting, wages, etc., that comes with that to then survive, so they don't have financial difficulty. And we do have sellable assets. As bad as it's been, we players like Jack Harrison, Nonto, I'd say Somerville has a certain amount of resale value. Rocker still probably has a certain amount of resale value for what he's done before. Leeds United, Verba probably holds his value. Mellier's, I think we probably get back 5 or 6 times what Melier was bought for. So we do have sellable assets. And financial difficulty is not my concern as such. My concern is the kind of psychological impact that it has on the the players that are left and the players coming through the door and everything to kind of structure a plan around getting promoted. I just don't see it. I see it being a very, very bleak season, personally.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Paul, you lose 90 million in the first season when relegated. Is that the
That's
the
income.
TV? Yeah, right. Yeah, that'll be the TV deals and everything. Then won't it? That's gone. Oh God, yeah. Back to the Championship, isn't it? Where it's just like 4 million or something for being on the guy. Christ Almighty. Wonder what the resale value on Rutter is, Bullet. God, I don't even know. I mean, Jesus.
He'll go out on loan. That's what I think. He'll go out on loan. I saw somebody say it earlier, and it made perfect sense. He'll go out on loan. We'll cover half the wages. He'll probably go back to Europe somewhere. And then if we get promoted, we might see him back in the squad. If we don't, he'll probably move on for a cut price fee at some point. It's just terrible recruitment. It's just terrible, terrible recruitment. If we were in a position to be able to, bring that on and develop him, then maybe it's good. It could be good value, but God, it's not what we needed.
No. Fergal, didn't Tyler and Nonto say that they want to stay? Do you mean Tyler Roberts? Because I can't see Tyler Adams staying, to be honest.
I'm guessing he means Tyler Adams.
I mean, if Tyler Adams is playing Championship football next year, I'll be gobsmacked. I mean, even if I was like a Liverpool or something, I'd be looking at him. Or I think he could do a job for most teams. To be honest, I've been that impressed with him. I really have.
I think that, like, there'll be a couple that'll end up saying that we'd have thought would have moved on. Nonto is a funny one because he could be one of them that'd really benefit from a season in the Championship. The problem with Nonto would be is that he would lose his international place, you would think. Yeah. And that'd be a real blow for him. So I don't know. We'll pick that through in another stream, I think. Because I think that's a long one. We can go through each player one by one. There'll definitely be a couple that play the first few games of the season that would have thought had moved on, but it's whether they want to be there or not. That's what bothers me, because I don't want players picking up a wage in the Championship that don't want to be there. We don't need that.
No, exactly. I'd hope like some of that, I think it was a great point you made. Wood, Burnley, etc. have had, Creswell and these types in the squad. But, I mean, at least those players, there'd surely be a bit of heart and a bit of fight and a bit of spirit. They'd want to be Leeds, they'd want to be at Leeds. We've got Archie. I mean, does Archie Gray come through? I know he's only 17, but I don't know.
They're surrounded by players in these teams that, are guiding them through experienced Championship hardened players. We don't have that. We have Luke Ayling, and Patrick Bamford or whoever. You know what I mean? It's not the same as having Josh Brownell or Millwall having Jed Wallace and, whoever else like is in that squad now. It's just not the same. Like people will be like, oh yeah, Leo Yelder at left back. He's been at Rotherham all season. Come on, please. It's not the same.
No, exactly. Mr. Dodo, depends on the loyalty to club. They may stay for the first season for if we get promoted, but after that is anyone's guess. No, I mean, I wonder if someone like Rodrigo's interesting though, because I think he's still got a year on his contract or something.
I'd love to see Rodrigo in the Championship if I'm honest.
I can't imagine many teams coming in for him. To be honest, his age, 32, is he now? I can't really see.
An interesting one.
That'd
be an interesting one.
Do you think he'd physically be able to live up to the Championship though?
Probably not. And get bloody bounced about by bloody Richard Wood and
oh my God,
Tom Lees
today. Oh, Tom Lees, Jesus Christ, just steaming into him. My God. Paul Hewitt, Dyche will leave Everton at the end of the season. He would get you back up. God. Well, it's interesting as well with Leeds now because we've completely lost our identity as a football club. I thought we were going to be, high pressing, attacking football, but you realise that was just because of the one manager we had. It's not a club philosophy. Like, look where we've had to plumb now for, to try and get the points.
Like Rene makes a point there. Sorry, I'm just reading through comments at the same time about the under-21s having more heart. And they probably do. The problem is that a lot of fans will look at that promotion and be like, there's so many good players in that squad. And don't get me wrong, there's some good potential in that squad. But they only won Premier League 2. They got relegated last season out of the top division. a lot of the same players. They've got promoted through a playoff. They didn't win the league. They got promoted through a playoff. The standard of gap between even the Championship and PL2 is massive. It's not like when pros used to come through when I were a bit younger, where the reserves or 23s were made up of first team players coming back from fitness and stuff. It's not like that now. It's all first team players. All under 23 players. The gap is so like people see that clip of Archie Gray wrecking through a team.
Yeah.
It was brilliant, but he's not going to do that in first team football. It's just not the same, unfortunately. We can't pin his hopes on that.
No, exactly. I mean, I remember people even saying that last year, weren't we? That we go down because we can play the kids, and they'll miraculously get back up there. But it's going to be fascinating. I think, who do you get in as manager? I mean, it's just a mess. I mean, this is what's killing me off at the minute, because there is no structure in place. There's no structure from top to bottom. It's split ownership. There's no director of football. There's no manager. So what are you doing with your squad? What plans can we possibly be making now when we don't know who the manager is or who the director of football is? Whose database are we looking at for recruitment? How does this work?
You spot on. Like
what database are we looking at? Has Auto taken that? Who are we looking at? How is this getting done?
No, you spot on. I'm telling you, like the way that it works at this stage of the season for the teams that are in and around the bottom is they will have like two lists, and they will have a list of set of players that could probably be good enough for the bottom of the Premier League and the top of the Championship, like high priority targets. Then you'll have your Championship select players, and you'll have your players that would only come in the Premier League. Now, right now, we won't have any of that, because we've got no director of football. We've got no planning going on whatsoever. I'm telling you now that Southampton, they've got Russell Martin in through the door. They will have a list of players that they're already on with, thinking about signing next season. They'll have an idea of the players from the squad that they've got already that want to stay and play again next season. Like they'll have all that. We don't have any of it. None of it.
No, we don't. No, and you're trying to, you're trying to kind of. It's a stab in the dark as well, when you're picking a director of footballer and then you've got to pick a manager. I mean, it's kind of, you're trying to invent a philosophy out of thin air. You just, it's not natural, is it? You're going to be forcing this. You're going to be trying to force something into place. German, on the brighter side of things, we should be getting Tyler Roberts back for the Championship.
God. Oh my God.
Tyler Roberts, Dan James, all the favourites.
Dan James would be quite good in Championship.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you? At least they should be able to do something. God almighty. David, let's be honest, which manager would be interested enough to come to Leeds? There'll be plenty of interest. It's Leeds United, isn't it? It's a poison chalice, by the way.
The problem is, Brownie, right? It's not. And I said this earlier, it's worse than when Heckingbottom left and Bielsa came in. There's another reason why it's worse, is because now every manager that comes in through the door, they're not trying to reinvigorate the animal that were Leeds United anymore, because that's been done by Bielsa. What they're trying now to do is replicate Bielsa, which is an impossible job for any manager coming in. Like I mentioned Michael Carrick and Mark Robbins earlier as potential, managers. Both of them two would be like, I'm not hiding nothing there. I might as well stay at Middlesbrough. I might as well stay at Coventry. You know what I mean? So,
100%. Like we said earlier, Leeds will chew you up and spit you out. It really will. Rennie, that's what really worries me. There's no planning going on behind the scenes. So we're starting next season on the back foot. It's exhausting. That's it. Yeah, no, this is it. And this is where the worry about getting relegated comes in for, because what's going to be sorted in time for the Championship? It starts in 12 weeks, probably less. Yeah. And our squad is going to be absolutely ripped apart. There's going to be player sales. There's going to be all sorts going on behind the scenes. It's fractured. It's really fractured, and it's an absolute nightmare. Whereas if we'd have, managed to stay in the Premier League, I think we would have been an attractive proposition for a good manager. I think
under new ownership,
that would have been done. We know that would have been in the bag. New ownership would have been in there. And I think that would have been a very attractive for an Arne Slot or an Iriola or whoever you want. I think it'd have been even Gallardo. Maybe it would have been a really attractive prospect. But Championship is another beast altogether. It really is.
I know it's like right out there, and we're probably not going to be on for too much longer now. This is a totally going down a totally different.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up in a minute. Yeah,
but I would if I could do anything that I think would be within some sort of logical kind of confines of realism. When we go down, I would go and get Benitez. I'd go and get Benitez and say, look, new ownership coming in. This is the background. We're going to give you 3 years. We want to get right behind you. We can't expect them to do it on a year. Like that would be Bielsa and Bielsa specific. We need you and your character and your know-how to rebuild this. And we're going to give you the autonomy to look after the recruitment team. Most clubs have directors of football nowadays, but however that looks, just make it work, that it works right for the manager. Give it to somebody like that. Like, I know Sam's of a similar kind of ilk, but I just think there's this, like, he's been out of being successful for so long now. He's been considered a firefighter for so long. I think Rafa that'd be my kind of take on it. If I could say any direction that I think would be the best for us right now, given the circumstances of the situation, because I just think we would, as you say, chew up and spit out a young, talented manager.
Yeah, we would. Yeah,
I do.
We'd have to completely rebuild, wouldn't they, like Heckingbottom? Okay, we'll just finish up now. Dav, the Bielsa years, was it all just a dream? It certainly feels like that today. It feels like a distant dream. It's where the club's at today compared to what we were. I don't even know what to say. It's Leeds United, isn't it? I mean, it absolutely tears you apart. I mean, what's going to be your plan going forward, Jesse? Are you just going to, once that season's done next week, are you just like forgetting about football for a week or so, just completely getting out of your head, or are you just going to obsess over what's happening next? I mean, I'm going to try and like give myself a few days after the season just to like not think about it, but it's going to be hard because I think the news will be flying fast when that season finishes. I think there'll be so much going on.
I think like
I'm drained from it. I need a break. I'm so
drained. I'm drained. I've been so miserable with this now for 2 seasons straight, and every week and every game that comes on, it's awful. It's not even just our games. I'm watching the opposition's games, and I was watching Wolves yesterday, and I celebrated a Wolves goal like I were up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous, and it's just not good. Like, but I think once the season finishes, I think, we have a cathartic kind of debrief. We'll probably do a couple where we pick it apart and talk about a lot of what we've spoken about today again, I would imagine. Yeah. And then, we start looking at maybe what it looks like, but I think we need a little bit of time in between, but it won't be long because the season comes back around in the Championship quick. Like, it's not long before early August. Two months.
Nothing.
2.5 months. Whatever. Yeah, it's 2 months, isn't it?
Yeah. So soon be here. It'll soon be here. Tea time. Thanks for your comment. Horrible season, horrible result, horrible times being a Leeds fan now. It is, and there's absolutely no hiding place. Wayne, best of luck, lads. Good show. Thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. Myself and Jason will be back at some point. There's another game still. For God's sake, there's still more to suffer next week. We'll see where we're at then. Shout out to Halifax Town, by the way, who won the FA Trophy today. Congratulations to the Shaman on that one. So a bit of good news in the region, at least. But yeah, we'll be back. Thank you so much for all your comments. Really enjoyed reading through them and chatting about everything. Please like the video as well. Also subscribe to the channel to catch me and Jason on Leeds United in the future. I've been Stephen Brown with me, Jason Booker. Jason, thank you very much, mate.
Well, thank you, mate.
And we'll be back again soon.